Friends, because of his dirty clothes, everyone on the plane was mocking him, thinking he was a beggar. But a few moments later, why did the entire plane stand up and salute him? Let's find out what happened that day and who that mysterious person was. Morning flight from Delhi to Mumbai. The cabin of the plane was buzzing with the noise of passengers. The cabin crew was busy helping everyone get to their seats. In the middle of this modern crowd, suddenly, an unusual personality entered inside. About 50 years old, fatigue lines were clearly visible on his dark-colored skin, messy hair, and deep sadness on his face, which made him stand apart even in the crowd. He was wearing an old blazer, under which the top button of his shirt was open. His face looked urban, yet his social standing was hard to guess. Panting, he showed his ticket and sat down by the window seat, number 17. Seeing him, the modern woman sitting beside him pressed a handkerchief to her nose with a contemptuous look. Her eyes seemed to say, "Is this man really a passenger on this flight?" An air hostess, Sohani, was watching him from a distance with suspicious eyes. She came closer and said, "Excuse me, sir, may I see your boarding pass once again?" The man smiled calmly and said, "Yes, of course, here it is." Air hostess Sohani took the boarding pass and looked at his face suspiciously, then shook her head and walked away. The man said nothing and kept gazing out the window at the clouds. The person sitting nearby, unable to bear it any longer, called the air hostess and said, "Listen, please change my seat. This man is giving off a strange smell. It is impossible to travel like this the whole way." Sohani said helplessly, "Sir, I am very sorry. The flight is completely full. Not a single seat is empty. Today you will have to adjust a little." That man, annoyed, sulked and sat down again. That man, Ayan, acted as if he had not heard anything, his gaze fixed steadily on the sky outside. Just then, someone from a nearby seat shouted, "Hey Ayan, you here?" The man looked surprised, didn't recognize it first, then the voice continued, "It's me, Arjun. We studied together in school." Recognizing him, Ayan gave a faint smile. Arjun kept talking. "You were the college topper, always first in every exam. And today, what condition have you put yourself in? Traveling in such simple clothes, in economy class. Look at me, CEO of a multinational company, earning lakhs of rupees a month." In his words, there was more pride than friendship. Ayan replied calmly, "It's a long story, Arjun. Maybe someday I'll tell you when the time is right." He opened his bag and took out an old framed pair of glasses. His hands trembled slightly, but the gaze in his eyes was as firm as steel. Just then the plane shook lightly and he bent down a little. Panic spread among the passengers. Air hostess Sohani announced over the intercom, "Respected passengers, please remain seated and fasten your seatbelts. We are experiencing light turbulence." There was nothing to fear. Everything was under control, but the situation quickly began to worsen. Suddenly, with a massive jolt, the whole plane shook violently. Prayers began to rise from the passengers. Just then, the cabin door opened and Sohani came running out. Her face had turned pale with fear. Her lips trembling, she screamed, "Please, is there any doctor among you? It's urgent." A middle-aged man, Dr. Kuran Dutta, stood up and said, "I am a doctor." He quickly rushed toward the cockpit. A few moments later, he returned with a worried face and said, "The pilot has suffered a sudden stroke. He is unconscious and not in a condition to fly the plane." Silence spread through the cabin. The pilot was ill and outside there was a terrible storm. The co-pilot, Captain Rahul, was struggling alone to handle the situation. Sohani, in a trembling voice, again announced, "Is there anyone among you who can fly a plane? The situation is very serious." The faces of the passengers had turned to stone with fear. When death comes so close, no path seems open. Just then, that calm and sorrowful man, Ayan, raised his hand. Now, in his eyes, there was a flash of confidence. Beside him, Arjun shouted, "Ayan, you will fly the plane? You will kill us all. Find someone else." The other passengers also protested in terror, letting a beggar-looking man fly the plane. Is there no one better than him? Sohani asked hesitantly. Sir, can you really fly an aircraft? Ayan answered with a steady gaze. Yes, I can. Last time I flew was 10 years ago. But I can try. In his calm voice there was something that silenced everyone. From the cockpit, Captain Rahul shouted, If this man has experience, then send him quickly. I cannot manage alone. Ayan stood up. Now, in his steps there was firmness. His way of walking had changed. Every step sparkled with confidence. He entered the cockpit and glanced once at the control panel, then put on the headset and connected with the control tower. Delhi. Control. This is Captain Ayan Mehra, also known as Vicky. Our pilot is unwell, requesting permission for an emergency landing. Hearing the name Captain Vicky, the co-pilot Rahul's eyes widened in astonishment. This name was a living legend in the aviation world. 22 years ago. In a terrible storm, this man had single-handedly landed a plane with 312 passengers safely. Back then, he was only 28 years old. But 10 years ago, due to a mechanical fault, he was suspended. That day, he had said, "My wait will end." As this news spread in the cabin, those who had insulted Ayan a while ago now sat with faces red in shame. The woman who had pressed a handkerchief to her nose now sat with her head bowed. Arjun's face had turned pale. Outside, the storm was still raging, but inside the cockpit, Ayan's hands were working skillfully. Every instruction of his was correct, and after a while, without a single jolt, the plane touched the runway. A sigh of relief spread among the passengers. The landing could not even be felt. It was as if he had performed magic. When Ayan came out of the cockpit, there was a strange calmness on his face. The passengers, who had thought of him as a beggar, now stood with their heads bowed in guilt. Arjun ran forward and said, "Brother, you really are Vicky. Even today you are the topper." "I have lost to you," Ayan smiled and said, "It is not about winning or losing, Arjun. I had only lost my confidence. Today I have gained it back." An airline officer, Ramesh, came forward through the crowd and bowing his head said, "Sir, we tracked your flight performance live. Our board wants to take you back." Ayan looked up at the sky and said calmly, "They took away my job, but they could not take away my courage." Hearing this without any instruction, every passenger on the plane stood up one by one. The entire cabin echoed with applause and respect. The man who just a while ago had been the object of ridicule had now become the true hero of the sky. Everyone together saluted that legend, because true worth never shows in clothes or outward appearance. Friends, how did you like this story? Be sure to let me know where you're watching from. If you liked the story, do not forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel.